Greetings Terrarians, Khaios here. Welcome to June's Commenter Day. Today's top voted comment and the build that I'll be building today is from T0T1, who asks for a magical floating ruins. So he wants some glowing and floating parts on floating islands and some ruins. And that's what we're going to be tackling today. So the first thing that I did was get the island started in T-Edit just to give them a rough shape and then hop straight into game and start shaping them. Now I knew I was going to be using a lot of stone for this, so this time around I decided not to go with the sandstone block. It's something that I would have preferred visually, but I'm using so much of it that I would have desert background everywhere for sure. So we've got bridges going, which will be the foundation for all of the ruins, and they're kind of styled similarly to what I've done in Savania for Super Terraria World, a little bit different. If you enjoyed this build, be sure to leave a like and make sure you comment down below what you'd like to see me build for next month's Commenters Day. And the idea with the floating island ruins here is that the bridge is kind of snapped and the islands are floating a little off-centered from where they used to be, and just kind of visually I'm going for something like that. The supports of the bridge, some of them will be held up by little tiny miniature floating islands of their own, some of them will just be decaying and disintegrating and falling apart. Usually when it comes to building ruins, I have two different ways to kind of approach it. I usually either build something completely unruined and then kind of demolish it from there, or if I know that I'm building just strictly ruins for no other purpose, then I'll just kind of build it segment by segment and just kind of ruin little bits of it as I go, which is kind of what I'm doing here with the bridge and the struts. I'm throwing some brown paint on top of the lead fence to make it look a little bit rusted, and I'm just busting out some of the walls. Now what I'm building here is a chain, a big chain that I want to kind of anchor the floating islands down with to make it look like they aren't going to float off. The design is not entirely of my own, it's inspired by Eve or MultipleEggs. I will leave a link to his page on the Terraria community forums down below. Check out his builds, they're really great. He's got some fantastic roof designs and some really interesting design techniques. I'm changing up the materials of these chains, but the design of the chain overall is his design. Next up is just some terrain editing and some foundation building and just shaping the terrain where the foundations would be. Then I decided to break one of the chains on the floating island and just have it look a little bit rusted, and a link is missing and everything below it is gone. And the reason for that is the bridge is going to be off-centered and cracked, and the island's going to be higher than it needs to be. And so if I have the anchors there, I thought that it might make most sense to have the anchor for the offset bridge to be broken to make it look like the island ended up floating higher than it should have been in the first place. For this tower that I'm building here, I decided to go with purple paint instead of deep purple paint because the deep purple would be a lot more vibrant. I want this to look a little bit more muted, a little bit more dull, like it's just been sitting out in the sun for years and kind of has lost its paint. In the background walls, I've also placed some planked wall to just kind of make it look like some of the shingles have fallen off. And in this segment of the wall as well, I'm going to punch some holes into the roof and fill it up with planked wall as well, just to make it look like, again, more shingles are missing. I'm starting to place a spiral staircase in here, but it's not going to go all the way down because what I want to do in here is place a tree growing up the center of the tower. I decided to add smaller chains to anchor the smaller floating islands, just because I thought it would be a nice touch to kind of tie the bigger chains together with. And now that all the grass and foliage has grown in, I'm going to start placing the false foundation background walls. I started another tower, but I didn't want to finish it all the way up to the top. I wanted this one to look like it kind of has fallen apart. So we've got chunks of the roof in the building itself and off to the side, and the tower just kind of crumbles towards the top. This building is just going to be completely crumbled Not really going to be a building at all anymore. It would have been a tower, but not only is this just ruins, and I thought it would be nice to have something that's completely capsized, but I was running a little bit short on time and there were a lot of details that I wanted to get finished. So I hopped back into T-Edit, added a few more small, tiny floating islands and some floating debris, added some dirt and grass to them, some dirt and grass to the other side, and then I grabbed a bunch of trees from the base world and started pasting them around the build. The only reason I'm doing this is to save time. I could have planted a bunch of acorns and waited for them to grow, but I do have to make these videos in a timely manner, so the best way to do that is to just copy and paste trees using T-Edit directly. And then I go back in-game, I shape all of the new islands that I placed and the debris that I placed, and I kind of just start getting everything decorated with the living aspects. So I'm using living leaf wall to just apply a mossy feel to all of the stone and to bushes, to the backgrounds of the trees and stuff like that. I'm also using a leaf wand to place leaves growing out of the stone areas in various different portions of the build. For the glowing and magical parts of the build, I thought that I would use some of the stardust fragments, the nebula fragments specifically, to kind of make it look like that's what holds the floating islands up. It gives a nice purple glow, and to me, when I think of magic, I think of like arcane, and arcane to me is purple. And so I'm just using a lot of this nice purple glow throughout the build to just make it look like that's what's holding everything up. And then once I have those in place, I will go and place some amethyst gem spark blocks in the background just to give a little bit more glow into the floating islands. And that is Skycrest Manor Ruins done. Thank you T0T1 for your suggestion. I hope you enjoy the way that the build turned out. Thank you everybody that participated in the comments section below. Just all of the ideas were great. I'm sorry I can't do everything, but if any of the ideas really stand out to me, I will write them down on a list of builds to do. And if I do them in the future, even if it's not for a commenter day, I will credit you as a thank you for the suggestion. I hope everybody enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe. If you're already subscribed, be sure to ring the notification bell. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll catch you all later. Happy building.